With that, I would like to introduce our first presenter tonight, who is Myrna Bittar, Area Director of North Orange County Young Lives. Please welcome her.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Jim, so much for having me, and all of you. I'm so excited to be here tonight. Like he said, my name is Myrna Bittar, and I'm the Area Director of North Orange County Young Lives. And we're a ministry to teen moms and dads, so we work with teenagers aged 13 to 19 years old that are pregnant or have babies. And our goal is to share the gospel with them, for them and their children to grow up and know Jesus Christ. Some of you might recognize the logo or might have heard of Young Life, so just to right off the bat clear up any confusion, Young Life is an international organization that's been around since 1941 with the mission of introducing adolescents to Christ and helping them grow in their faith. And so the ministry that I oversee is Young Life for teen moms and dads. So everything I'm going to be talking about is the teenagers with the babies. And the key ingredient to Young Life, I would say, is relationships. We're all about incarnational ministry, going where kids are at or going where teenagers are at and stepping into their lives and sharing the gospel in everything we do. So just to tell you a little bit, some statistics. So 1 in 10 babies in the United States are born to a teenager, and those numbers are pretty similar here in Orange County. So we work in several school districts, and I've had administrators guesstimate numbers of teen moms they have in the district, and those numbers are anywhere from 200 to 500 young moms that are under 20 years old. And so just as somebody that's worked in this realm for 10 years now, I've seen a lot of different moms, but with similar stories. Fatherlessness, abuse, neglect, poverty, also many that have also been trafficked. And so I just want to share a scripture in Mark 9:42, and it says, "Let the children come to me. Whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for a millstone to be hung on his neck and throw him in the sea." And I point that out because, like I said, they're just some stories that you hear as you sit across from a young lady that will literally just take your breath away as you sit there. Last week, I was with a young lady, 15 years old, and she had just finished changing her 2-week-old's diaper, and we were in a public restroom, and I'm sure that was her first time changing a diaper in a public restroom, and then changing she's only changed a handful of diapers and a soiled diaper, and as she was changing it, she was just shaking. She said, "Sorry, I'm just so nervous." And after I held the baby, and she said, "I just need to cool down just a second." And as I just sat with her, that was the first time I'd ever met her, and as I sat with her and held her baby, there was nothing in the world that could have been more important in that moment than just hearing her story and being with her. And so that moment, that's what this ministry is all about, is replicating that through our many volunteers all over the county that will sit with moms and young dads and hold babies and love on them as they grow older too. And so many of those pregnancies are often unplanned or unwanted. And I really believe as believers, we're called to walk with those young moms that have chosen life and raise up their children alongside them when sometimes we're one of the only fans and supporters that they have. Also, a social worker once told me that when these moms become pregnant at 14, 15, 16, oftentimes their social and mental development it's put on pause. They just switch into crisis survival mode, and their peers are progressing through, SAT prep and all those other things, but they have a human in their hands to keep alive, and so many other emotions that come with that. And so, my hope is that we get to come alongside them and show them Christ and show their kids a different kind of hope for their future. And so sometimes one person's story tells the bigger story so much better. So I'm going to turn you to the screen for a couple minutes to just hear one of the young ladies that was one of the early ones we met early on, and I got to mentor her myself. So I'm going to share her story with you guys.
I wasn't really a teenager that liked to party or anything. I didn't really go out with my friends because I didn't really want to. I would isolate myself a lot. I put a face to the world that I was a happy girl, but it wasn't really like that inside. I was like very, very sad. I needed somebody. I just didn't want people to know like the real true story behind all that smile I had. I dated my boyfriend, and then that's when everything went downhill. We dated for like a year, and then I found out I was 7 months pregnant. They're like, you're due like in 2 months. As a teenage mom, my life is very hectic. I work, I go to school. It's very hard to handle 2-year-old and work and school. Other teens don't know that you have another responsibility besides your homework, besides like doing chores. You have to take care of a little baby. You have to find a way to give them milk, bottles, diapers, change them, stay with them. And that's where it's difficult keeping friends. And I lost all my friends, all of them. That's when I went to my counselor and I told her, I need people there for me. And she gave me this flyer and she's like, here, call her. So I called the Young Lives director, Myrna. She just helped me the first time I talked to her, I cried. It was just very hard to the point where I wanted to kill myself so bad that I overdosed myself and they had to put my stomach. She helped me a lot. When I met her, it was like I had somebody I could talk to. I wanted to know that God was real. And she showed me the path, and God is so real to me. I pray to him all the time because it felt like he was my own father. Young Lives changed my life. I wanted to give myself to God. I wanted him in my life, and I wanted to feel the joy everybody felt when I would see them speak about him. Now my heart changed. Like now I want to give. I want girls to experience the love I experienced from Jesus, and I want them to know that we have people that want to pour into them. I see differently now. I want my daughter to love God. I want her to know that there is a God that loves her, and I want her to know that I will always be there for her, and he would always be there for her. And I look back and I'm like, wow, like I changed. It's wonderful what God does.
Definitely worth clapping for. And it's so fun to get to be on the front lines and see God at work in that way, and see girls years later and say, wow, like I don't even recognize you anymore. Look at the things you're doing and the things you're saying and how you're stepping out. And I know the same is probably true for many of us. When Christ came into our lives, we became unrecognizable to people around us. And so that's the hope that I hope and pray that we're bringing throughout Orange County to other moms like Crystal. And so as you saw, that was a girl that I mentored, but today we have over 80 volunteers. Our ministry is 99% run on volunteers. And so we have over 80 volunteers that are in Orange County working with teen moms and dads like Crystal. This last summer, we took a group to camp, and as they got on the bus, it was so exciting to me to see girls that I'd never even met before. I didn't even know their names because their mentor, a volunteer, had gone to their school and met them and gotten to know them and invited them on this camp trip. And so this little map basically was just something that I made to get myself excited and see what God's been doing in the last 7 years. So we started in Huntington Beach, which is where I happened to live and be at the time. And so we started the ministry there in 2012. And that was just serving teen moms in that general area, Westminster, Fountain Valley, and then grew a couple years later into Santa Ana, where there's the highest teen pregnancy rate in Orange County. And from there, neighboring cities, Garden Grove, recently Tustin, where there's actually, I was sitting with a couple at my table that mentioned a home in Tustin for foster youth that are teen moms, and that's a home that we're working with some young foster girls that are teen moms as well that are more difficult to place in the foster care system. And then just the last few months, we've had doors just wide open in Anaheim. And Anaheim has the second highest teen pregnancy rate, where the administrator said they have over 400 teen moms in the district. And so it's been neat to see that with each school, each district, each step of the way, that the doors just open wider. And school administrators are excited to have us on their campuses, providing resources to their young people. And it's just been amazing to see God at work. So how we do that is through the Young Life, I guess, platform, and I'm going to introduce you to the 5 C's. And so the 5 C's are basically how we do our ministry. So contact work is how we meet teen moms. We go to high schools and we teach parenting classes. I'm going to tell you more about it. And then club is where we share the gospel. So it's not on campus. On campus, we don't talk about Jesus. We take them to clubs in the evenings where we share about Jesus, and we present the gospel in everything that we do. And then camps, like I mentioned earlier, it's a week-long experience where they have fun and they're teenagers and they hear about Jesus. Campaigners are a Bible study. And then committee is what you would call a board, and the board makes all of that possible. Without those individuals, we couldn't do any of what we do. So in our area, contact work looks like parenting classes, and we do those classes in 4 school districts right now, and that's Huntington, Garden Grove, Anaheim, and Santa Ana. And we go on these school campuses either once a week or every other week, and we teach classes like temperament, nutrition, potty training, positive discipline, maybe methods that weren't used in their homes growing up, or just things that, as I sit there with them, nobody else is equipping them with. And I know for me, becoming a mom was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I had resources, a supportive husband, family, community, church, blogs, books, all of that at my fingertips. And so we get to provide them with tools. As the greatest influencers of their children, we get to equip them with these tools. And so that's something that really excites me that we get to do. And I really don't think we can share the gospel with anyone until we just meet them where they're at. And if they don't know how they're going to feed their baby or how they're going to transition from formula to solids, they can consider other things. And so club is once a month. We have 2 locations. And so we provide a meal, child care. We decorate the room. From the moment they walk in, we want them to feel this place was meant for you, and you're welcome here. And so that's the message they get from that moment. And they get to be with other young parents, sit at a dinner table with adults that are asking them about school and life and their relationship. And we do a few special clubs, so Christmas and prom has childcare, so they can bring their babies. And Christmas, we just celebrate them and love them. So that's what club is. And then camp is every single teen we've taken to camp has come back transformed, 100%. And every year, we work so hard to fundraise these scholarships to take them to these camps. And as I walk around the camp and I see the girls throughout the week, and I say, there is no price you can put on this. Like, I can't even, we can't not do this. We have to take them. And so that's camp, and there's a teen dad camp, a teen mom camp, and then a camp where they get to be with high school peers where we bring childcare. Campaigners is a Bible study, so we don't want Young Life to be their final destination. We want them to find community, belonging in the church, and meet other believers. So say their mentor's no longer here, they're still connected and connected to community and believers around them. The committee, like I said, is like a board of directors, and I've been so grateful for those that have stepped in along the way to help us create this plan and figure out how we grow and where we grow. And a couple of them are actually Barnabas Group members, and one introduced me to the Barnabas Group, and they've been key in my own life and in just the possibility of this ministry being where it is. And so we would gladly welcome other board members. So I want to turn you to page 27 in your handout, and that's our feedback form. And I just want to take whatever time I have left to just point out what's on there. So first is just the newsletter. We send it out once a month, and you can we put 3 stories in every newsletter, and you can click and see faces of these moms and dads, see what we're up to, see an event that might interest you, that you can forward to a friend, or at the very least just see our name in your subject and pray for us for a second. And then secondly, like I said, we feel called into Anaheim. So if you have any connections, a church, organization, an individual, we'd love to make that introduction because we need some partnerships before we can get up and running in Anaheim. And then another personal introduction, someone else that you're thinking of as I share this presentation, we'd love to sit down with them, connect, and just share more about who we are. And then our board, if you yourself would be interested in joining our board, we'd love you to come talk to us and we'd share more about what we have available. And lastly, these 2 events we have coming up. Our gala on September 28th. If you'd like to attend or host a table, or if you have something to contribute to the silent auction, a good service trip, whatever it is. And then our volunteer training on August 17th, if you're interested in volunteering yourself. So that's pretty much all I have for you, and I'll have Jim come back up before I get kicked off.
Myrna, the Barnabas group got to be part of the prom a couple years ago. Is that right? Tell them just 2 seconds about that.
The Barnabas group hosted the dinner at prom 2 years ago, and everybody just ate every last bit of rice in that paella, and it was amazing.
If you've never had Rick Buford's paella, you don't understand how good that is. How many people here know Rick Buford's paella? Right. Okay, they all know. Great, thank you. Well, she's got you on page 27, so take a couple seconds, fill out page 27, your name, your email address, your phone number, and how you want to get involved to help North Orange County Young Life. All right, Young Lives. So take a second, do that, and then we'll pray for her. Father, I just thank you for Myrna and for just the heart that you've given her to minister to these young people who have become moms and dads, and to teach them how to parent. And as most of us know, kids don't come with a manual on how to be a parent. And yet she's got a heart to walk alongside them. I see her as she mentors that young lady on the beach, and just think about just the time commitment that is, but yet how rewarding that is, and how that just has to just make your heart soar, Lord. So, Lord, if there's people here that are inclined to come alongside them, I pray that they would fill that form out, and that there would be incredible connections that would someday resound in
I went to one NA.
wonderful things in your kingdom. We just pray this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ.